And yesterday we talked about multiplication property of radicals, how to multiply radical expressions that have one term, two terms, and I show you this example. We worked on this example on the screen. I want to check if you remember. Okay, so 3 square root of 11 times parentheses 2 plus the square root of 11 plus parentheses. Then the first thing you have to do is distributive property, right? And then you're gonna find a few expressions. Then you simplify the expressions, and at the very end you find the answer. 6 is square root of 11 plus that's something missing. There's a number missing. I want you to tell me what is the number that's missing here. Can you remember from yesterday? If you don't remember, not a problem, because you can check the previous step and maybe you're gonna be able to figure it out. Check the previous step. See what can you simplify to find the number that's missing. Okay? Tell me what is your answer. Oops. And I'm gonna ask a couple of students. You can send me a message with your guess. So the number that's missing here is 33. Today we are talking about solution to radical equations, and let's work on the procedure. Let's move on to the procedure to solve a radical equation. The first step, step number 1, is to isolate the radical. You're going to move everything that's not radical to the other side of the equation, and in one side only the radical, only the root, the square root, cube root, or any kind of root. Step number 2, raise each side of the equation to a power equal to the index of the radical. Step number 3, solve the resulting equation. If this is not going to work now, but we can see later, just solve the resulting equation. And step 4, check. Sometimes the solution that you find is not, it doesn't work into the original equation. So this is something that you have to do. Check to make sure you have the right answer, okay? And by reading the procedure is very hard to understand, I know, but maybe it's much better when we work on an example. Let's work on this, and probably we're going to be able to understand how to apply the procedure, okay? So, square root of p plus 5 equals 9. So check the procedure on the first step. What is? To isolate the radical. So let's apply step number 1, because the radical is on the left hand side of the equation, and there is a plus 5 here that's bothering us. So you're going to move this plus 5 to the other side, applying addition properties of equality. So we move to the other side. Since this is a positive, when we move to the other side, it becomes a negative. Okay? And then we're going to have the square root of p equals 9. Then we move to the positive 5 to the other side, becomes a negative 5. Okay? Now, you know that 9 minus 5 is 4. What is the next step? So check on the procedure. Next step, raise each side of the equation to a power equal to the index. The index is, yeah, thank you, Kion. It's coming now, the message. Yeah. And the index is 2, it's the square root, right? So the index is 2. We're going to submit both sides of this equation to the power of 2, so the square, because then we can simplify this square with the square root, and you have p equals 4 squared. What is 4 squared? 4 squared equals 16. And that is the right answer. 16 is going to be the final answer. But remember, you have to check to make sure you have to plug in 16 into the original equation. So 16, plug in here, square root of 16 equals 4 plus 5 equals 9. 9 equals 9. Yes, that's right. So yes, you confirmed 16 is the right answer. And I think this is easy, but I'm not a good reference. I need your feedback. What do you think? This is what we will work today on the quiz. This is going to be half of the test. So you need to understand this. And for me, it looks simple, but if there's any step that you didn't understand, that you need more explanation, just let me know. Okay? Any feedbacks? What do you think? Any questions? Any step that is not clear? You can ask now if you have a question in your mind. But if you're still confused, you can ask later during the quiz. But it's very important that you understand how to solve these equations. And we will practice today, we're going to practice tomorrow, and this will be very important for the test. At least half of the questions on our test this Friday. Okay? Moving on. If you don't have any questions, any feedback, anything that's bothering you, let's move to the bell work. Okay? Today we're not going to work with roots, with square roots or cube roots or anything like that. You just have to find the average speed. You need to use the formula. Distance, or better, speed equals distance over time. That's the formula that you're going to need. If Nick stepped on the brake and the car is stopped in 10 seconds, then he checked the skid marks. It was 0.1 mile long, the skid mark of the braking. What was the average speed of the car when braking in miles per hour? What is the answer? And send me your messages. Tell me your guesses. Okay, you have to apply the formula, distance over time. Then you're going to divide 0.1 miles by 10 seconds, and you find 0.01 miles per second. But now is a problem, because we need miles per hour. Miles per hour. How many seconds do you have in 1 hour? We have 60 minutes, each minute 60 seconds, so 3,600 seconds in 1 hour, right? 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Multiply 3,600 by 0.01, and you're gonna find the answer in miles per hour. Is 36 miles per hour. That's the answer in miles per hour. 0.01 miles per second times 36,000 seconds, and then you have 36 miles per hour. That's the answer, 36 miles per hour. Okay, let me check who got the right. Solve the equations. For letter A, we have square root of x plus 4 equals 6. So as we have seen in the procedure, the first step is to isolate the radical in one side of the equation, so move everything else to the other side. Since this is a positive, we'll go to the other side as a negative. This is addition property of equality. So square root, let me use this, square root of x equals 6, and this goes to the other side as a negative, minus 4. Okay? That means the square root of x equals 6 minus 4, 2. Now we can apply roots, the square, to both sides, like this. That means x equals 2 squared, and 2 squared is 4. That is the right answer. Let me write like this. 2 squared, x equals 4. Now try to solve the other questions. Give me 1 minute so I'm gonna check attendance, and after that we can work together. On letter C. Well, and we don't need to isolate because the radical is already isolated in one side of the equation, right? So we can go straight to step number 2, which is submit both sides by square to simplify this side, because you can simplify the square root with the square. And then we're gonna have, 5y plus 1 equals 4 squared is 16. Now we're going to move this to the other side. This is addition property of equality. Since this is positive, it will become a negative. So 5y equals 16 minus 1, 15. And the last step, we have 5 times y. We can divide both sides by 5. So divide both sides by 5. So you can simplify this. And this 15 divided by 5, 3. That means y equals 3. 3 is the right answer. For letter D, now we need the first step, because there's this negative 2 here, square root of 9z minus 5, minus 2. So this we need to move to the other side. We need to get rid, isolate the radical only. So if this is negative, it will become a positive. Square root of 9z minus 5 equals 9 plus 2, 11, right? Now we will apply the square root to both sides, square root and square root. That means 9z minus 5 equals 121, right? 11 squared is 121. Now we're going to move this to the other side. It's a negative, it will become a positive. So 9z equals 121 plus 5, 126. Now divide both sides by 9. Divide by 9, because I have 9z, you just want to find z. Z equals 126 divided by 9 is 14. 14 is the right answer. Always check. This is the best procedure. Plug in 14 into the original equation. This is the original. So 9 times 14 minus 5 is going to be 144. 9 times 14, 126, minus 5, 121, square root 11, 11 minus 2, 9. So yes, that's right, this is the right answer. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you.